Hello and welcome to Dateline. Hello and welcome to Dateline New Haven, WNHH-FM, New Haven's home for community radio. I'm Paul Bass, inviting you to look behind the headlines and the stories that make our New Haven community tick. And when you think about community, the people we think about most when we think about community in New Haven are people like Nancy Jordan, who's in the studio today, who is the epitome of a community person and a community police officer. She's retiring this weekend after 23 years patrolling New Haven and really putting her heart into it. And she's going to come talk to us about that. Nancy Jordan, welcome, Officer Jordan, to the Dateline New Haven studios.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And, you know, we've run into each other over the years,
Yes.
always when you're up to something good, reaching out to families and helping connect people to the police department. But what I was interested in, you told me about something called the clap out dance. So your final act at the police department, you're technically retiring Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Friday's your last day working.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be, when you leave the building, right, for the last time,
Mm-hmm.
there are going to be a bunch of people outside, right?
Mm-mm.
Oh, no. What is a clap out dance?
So initially, they do a clap out, and they do go outside, as you stated. But as everyone, people that really know me, I'm different. So when I was looking at the other clap outs prior to me, I'm like, I don't want to do that because sometimes we tend to lose the crowd coming from the third floor downstairs outside the building. And I'm a people person, and I just want everybody to be close-knit together. So I figure that we continue to stay on the third floor. Plus, it's January. It's cold. And so I said we'll stay on the third floor, and we'll clap out and then dance out, and I'll do a little 1-2 step.
So what's not going to happen? They're not going to line up on the ramps?
No, that's the only thing. Everything else is the same. We're just not going outside into the weather.
So will they go down the stairs with you or the elevator? How's that going to work?
No, we just stay right there in the atrium. And,
Third floor.
once everyone, say their speeches, the chief, my family members, then I say my speech if I could get through it without crying.
Right, that would be a challenge.
Yes, and then, I do my Signal 13 on the radio.
And what is Signal 13?
It's basically I'm signing off.
Officer signing off.
Yes.
So is that what you say, Signal 13, when you're signing off?
Mm-hmm.
And so the ritual is after the speeches, you go on the radio.
Right, and then you go downstairs, and then everyone line up on each side, and then you come through, and then they clap.
I remember that with Officer Duff, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So there's not going to be anyone outside?
No one outside.
What's going to happen when you say Signal 13?
And then Signal 13, and then that's when the music hit, and then I do my dance.
Where's the dance going to be?
Right there on the third floor.
And then how are you going to leave the building?
Once I finish fellowshipping with everyone, then I leave, on my own. There's no timing for that. So, yeah.
Do you have a song picked out?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
Be there at 2:30 tomorrow.
See, I can't. I'm going to be in.
I know, but I can't say.
You can't say. Not saying be
Not
there.
saying.
Okay. Well, Nancy Jordan, how's it feel to be retiring?
Paul, I have to say that it is bittersweet. It's definitely bittersweet. I've been crying on and off, him and hawing
Really?
since October. Right after my birthday in September, that's when it was like, wow, it's really coming, close to that time. Then when it got to January 1st, it's like, oh my God, countdown. Then last week, and then it was like when I woke up today, and my husband was like, oh, this your last day waking up for work. And I'm like, oh my God. So it's definitely bittersweet, but I don't want that bittersweet to be confused with that I'm not grateful, I'm not thankful. I'm just blessed to be able to leave on my time. And,
Why are you retiring? 23 years is a long time. To be
23 years is a long time.
I mean, you could just retire at 20 and get
right.
pension, right?
So the reason why I didn't retire at 20, and I say this everywhere, every platform I'm at, is because with my role now as the Victim Advocate Service Officer, I facilitate a group called the Survivors of Homicide Victim Support Group. And those people there actually change my whole dynamics of as far as wanting to retire in 20 years because I felt like I needed to do much more for them because when I got the role, it was November 2018. And then, unfortunately, I broke my left ankle in April of 2019. So I was out of work from April to August of 2019. So it was still I was still fairly new in the position, and then now January 25th of 2020, which January 25th is my anniversary. So like yesterday made 23 years for me. I still felt like I still needed to do more for that particular group, and I wasn't ready to detach myself from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad I did stay on because there was so many, unfortunately, other survivors that came through that that definitely I needed to support and assist.
And boy, it happened like when you, so you didn't leave January 25th in 2020. Tell me if I'm right about this. You had planned originally to do 20.
Yes.
And you, if what I'm hearing from you now is you had this new mission that you just
Yes.
gotten started on. It was an important mission
It
in our
definitely
city
was.
right now.
Mhm.
The Victims of Homicide. I know that your
Mhm.
predecessors, Julian Knox, did the group,
Mhm.
and that you felt you weren't done yet.
I
You
wasn't.
felt you still had work to do
Mhm.
there. And then came the pandemic.
Yes.
How did that affect that group?
So that was the thing. I'm glad you brought that up, Paul, because that was in 2020. And I was so grateful that I did not put my name on the list to retire, because that was just very traumatic. You know, nobody knowing like what's going to go on in the world. Everyone's panicking. So I thought that that was a definitely good time for me to just stay. We continue with our meetings. Obviously, we couldn't do them in person. So we did like the conference line. We didn't do Zoom because of elderly people and computer challenged people that was in the group. And I wanted to make sure everyone was included. One motto that I did actually took from the Board of Ed, where they say no child left behind. I say in our group, no survivors left behind. So in our group, we not only have survivors from the city of New Haven who lost loved ones in the city of New Haven, but we have people that lost loved ones on the town of Hamden.
Oh, really?
People who
And
lost
they come to New Haven for your meeting?
absolutely people who lost loved ones in New York City, like
York City?
all over. If you don't have a support group in your area where your loved one was killed at, or where you're even from, you're welcome to come to the city of New Haven to
Wow.
our support group.
How many people come to these meetings?
So our last meeting was actually last week, January 19th, and our count there was 84 attendance.
How
So
many were from New Haven?
I want to say like maybe 75%.
And
So
you were
it
all
does-
meeting, and you were meeting at one union?
No. So since the pandemic, we don't meet at one union. We actually we was, like I said, we was doing a conference line, and then we did that for all of 2020, and then half of 2021, and then I went to my supervisor, where at that time was he was assistant chief Bert Etienne, but he was sergeant, and I told him, I said, you know, the group, they want to see each other. So how do I make this happen? And he suggested that we go out to the area parks where we can be outside. So we start doing that of the
What parks did you meet?
Yes, so that's what I was going to say. So we start doing that the summer of 2021. We did Edgewood Park, we did Cold Spring Park, and then we did Stone Street Park. But the majority of the group, if not all of them, they really love Cold Spring Park. So we did that, and then came
Is that the one at
2022.
the part at East Rock Park by Orange
Yes.
Street? Yeah.
So the one 2022, we met there again in the summer. But Reverend Stephen Cousins, I'm so grateful for him. He opened up his church for us. It's Bethel AME Church on Gulfin County. So he opened up the downstairs fellowship dining hall. So that's where we meet at during the fall and winter months, and then in the summertime at the parks. However, excuse me, with my successor, it's her decision where she's going
Who
to.
is your successor?
It's actually Officer Nikki Curry, and
Oh,
she's
that's
from the
great
city.
choice.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay. So it sounded like it was important. So you were online at the Survivor group for the first year,
Mhm.
and then it sounded like it was important you to get face to face.
Yes,
Why was that?
because they missed each other. We had brand new survivors, people first time. They hearing people, but you know, a hug goes a long way. And even though we was in the COVID season, right, it's still like we was all masked up, but people still wanted to be embraced. Just feeling that support and assistance from another survivor who been through the same thing.
Mm-hmm. So a hug goes a long way.
A hug goes a long way.
What about talking face to face?
Talking face to face, yes. Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that. Why was that important?
Because now you get to see the person, interact with the person, ask questions. And we didn't do Zoom. We did actually conference call. So that was very challenging, especially with people not putting their phones on mute. So we're hearing, like if they're outside, we're hearing, the city streets or what have you. So just being in person overall was much better. And they enjoy that.
Okay, I was thinking, Harry, I was wondering about. We're talking to Officer Nancy Jordan, who's put in 23 hard-working years as a police officer in New Haven. Most recently, she's telling us as one of the most important jobs at the department. You don't always hear about the victim services officer who brings survivors of homicide together. And I guess you must have been involved in the creation of the garden, the homicide memorial garden on Valley Street.
No, I have nothing to do with that, but it is some of my survivors in the group. That was their vision, and that just assist and support them. That was in the making before I got here, but that has nothing to do with the New Haven police.
So, Officer Jordan, I was so interested in hearing you talk now about the importance of a hug, the importance of looking people in the eye in real life. Does that say something about how you pursued your police career from the beginning? Before you were a victim services officer, I mean, what about being a police officer and a community policing police officer, which I think you epitomized? How important is seeing people, hugging people?
I think it's very important. Yes, you do respect people's spaces. However, I look at one of my favorite poets, Maya Angelou, where she says, you may forget what a person say. You may forget what a person do, but you will never forget how that person make you feel. And that is like one of my favorite quotes. And it's true. You never forget how they make you feel. And my goal when I came on 23 years ago, stepping into the unknown, not knowing what to expect, that was my goal, to make a difference in the community that I was raised and brought up in. I wasn't born here, but I was raised here at the age of 16 months. I went to Winchester Community School, which is now West LeGrant. I went to middle school. I went to Jackie Robinson, which is now King Robinson. And high school, I went to James E. Hillhouse High School on Sherman. And then I furthered my education at Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland.
It's so interesting in New Haven when we talk about schools. If someone isn't going to school now, they usually talk about what the school used to be called.
Yes, I always have to say that.
It's pretty funny.
Yes, because
I went to Winchester.
I always say James E. Hillhouse High School, and now it's just James Hillhouse, but it's James E. Hillhouse High School.
Now, why did you want to be a cop? You said to make a difference. Did you grow up thinking you'd be a cop? Did you know cops?
No, absolutely not. No, that's not my testimony at all. Actually, I grew up as one of the juveniles that did not like police officers, and only because I grew up on Canal Street, 120 Canal Street, 6th floor, apartment 66, which is now Monterey Place. Back then, it was the
Elm Haven.
Yes, it was the high rise, the housing authority, exactly. And then when they moved everyone out, I moved over. My mother and I, we moved over to 55 Division Street, which is right across from Science Park, but now it's leveled out, so it's no signs of that. But in my community, it was like we didn't really see cops, so basically we were just policing ourselves or what have you. So it was a different outlook, and to be honest with you, I always credit my mother-in-law because she was at the telephone company, and she retired at the age of 46. That was unheard of. And she did 20 years. So my goal was to find an occupation where I can do 20 years and be 20 years and out. So I did apply for Department of Corrections. I was on the waiting list for them, and I went forth with New Haven Police Department.
Well, what changed your mind about cops? Did you not like cops growing up, or they just weren't relevant? You didn't see
they wasn't relevant. That type of, and just the way they was policing my community. not being that community service police officer. That wasn't heard of
So
in
you
my
did see
time.
him when there was an emergency.
Yeah,
only.
barely. Yes.
And what was it like? Were they nice?
No, not back then. It was the community policing. It wasn't like how it is now. So I wanted to make a difference. I wanted my community to see someone from the community, not someone, but someone from the community that went to the community schools and, grew up in the housing authority, and then I became a police officer. I wanted to interact with the community, show them that we do make a difference, and I think I did a good job with that.
I think so too. And you grew up, and this was the dawn of community policing, if I'm thinking correctly. I'm doing my math, which is always dangerous. Okay, so it was 1999 around when you were 2000.
Yeah,
you became a
January
cop.
25th, 2000.
So actually, it was after community policing because that started in 1990,
Yes,
but it was starting to take hold.
Right. Well, in the early 90s, I was in Baltimore in
At
school.
Morgan State.
Yes.
What'd you study there?
I'm business administration.
All right, so now over the years you must have started on patrol. Where did you walk your first beat?
So my first beat, I actually, my partner and I, they put us in the Ditswell Avenue area by the Stetson Library or what have you. But I ended up getting transferred over to the Hill because I knew that area because I grew up over there. So they transferred me over to the Hill, which I knew nothing of. My car was car 5-1. I worked the midnight shift at 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And that was my beat 5-1, which was Congress Avenue, West Street, Vernon Street. And I did that for 9.5 years.
Anything you remember? Was it a good experience?
Yes,
it was. Is there a day you'll never forget?
It was definitely a good experience. It's quite a few days I would never forget. One of them definitely do stick out to me where it was a summer night. I was coming down Congress Avenue. I heard a loud muffler coming up West Street because my windows was down, obviously. And as I approached the traffic light, it was this black Mustang, all blacked out, speeding at a high rate of speed, turned, and it was like pretty much we were like head on. And if it wasn't for the grace of God, I'm gonna definitely credit him first. And I did a quick maneuver to the right to get out the car way, and the car continued to speed down Congress Avenue, banged the right on Howard. I called it in, but by the time I turned around to catch up, I didn't get the plate of the car or what have you. Long story short, that car ended up going down Howard Avenue towards C Street, and went over the overpass, lost control, and collided into the utility pole. And the young man lost his life.
Oh my God.
So that right there stood out to me tremendously because that could have been me. He could have just collided into me. So, that's why I say it's the grace of God that brought me and kept me up until this point. So at this time, it's my time now.
That's from Amazing Grace. Talk about favorite line.
Exactly.
Almost that exact line, right? It was grace that brought me safe thus far, and
That's
grace
right.
that bring me home.
That's right.
And it brought you home that night.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
9.5 years patrolling. After that, at some point you did background checks, right?
Yes. So after during my tenure, as far as doing C Squad, which we call C Squad, which is the midnights, in the Hill, I also work with a group with DEFY, which is drug education for youth. And that was overseen by Lieutenant Streeter at the time. It's basically like for Hill children, like children at risk. And we brought them up to Camp Rail for a week, and we did different activities with them there. And then while I was in patrol at the time, I don't even remember his title at the time, but it was Valeka.
John Valeka, yeah.
Yes, he gave me a phone call. I was actually on vacation, and he asked me if I was interested in PAL or SRO, and he gave me, their
the police athletic.
Yes, and so I ended up doing that with a classmate, a high school classmate of mine, Marcus Tavares, which is now, yes, he's now a sergeant over at West Haven. So
was that your full-time gig at that point?
Yes.
And you were the PAL officer.
We was and actually Marcus and I were the last two PAL officers that New Haven Police Department had thus far. But I'm glad.
What do you mean? Now they still have PAL camp. But
they have PAL camp, but not a full-time PAL officer.
Chief, when was this, Nancy? Was this around 2010?
No, it was before then. It was definitely before then. Yeah. You know what? I want to say like around
You said
2010.
9.5
Yeah,
years
yeah,
in the
around
Hill.
2010. Yes,
So
yes.
how long did you do that? How
I
long?
did that for 2.5 years, and then we went through a break with the city where they had to like lay off some cops. Remember that time?
Uh-huh.
So then I had to go back to patrol. I did that for a time period, and then that's when I applied for background. They were starting to get some more officers in. I applied. I was chosen, and I was a background investigator for like 2 years. With that, I went back to patrol, and then that's when I was reached out. They reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to be a SRO, which is school resource officer, and I told them the only way I would do that is if I go back to my school, which is James Hill House, and I did that, up until I got the phone call by Chief Campbell and Assistant Chief at the time Reyes for me to be victim services.
Am I right that along that time you talked about while you were a patrol officer, you did the drug education, take kids camping, camping, always camping?
Yes.
And then PAL, it seemed like you always saw working with community, not just arresting people, as part of the job. Is that true?
Correct.
And then even on ours, I remember one thing we wrote about, you're involved with your church in West Haven.
Yes.
There was a sad story. A boy named Tremere, he was 16 years old, shot in his stomach by a stray bullet in his front porch in Kensington. He didn't die.
Yes.
And you organized, this back in 2012, you organized all your people from Faith Baptist Church,
Yes.
West Haven, to bring
Yes.
to bring him some help. Is Faith Baptist still active there?
Yes.
And how central is that to your life?
Very, very. As you know, my faith in God is very high. I will be able to exist without him. Everything that I do, everything that I conquer, my whole being is because of him. So I give reverence to him.
And so what are you doing these days with the church? Your social action, that kind of stuff?
Yes, we still doing the same thing, but because of COVID, we did do it on a smaller scale. So hopefully this year we get back up and running, doing the in-person, giving out toys and coats and that type of thing. Yeah, book bags. Yes.
I saw how much joy you got from that.
Yes. I love helping people. I definitely do. I love helping people. I really do, because somebody helped me along the way. So I love helping people, and that's what it should all be about.
How about when you have to arrest people? What's that like? I know you can summon that toughness when you need to. I've seen that.
Absolutely.
You don't get pushed around.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to do your job, in spite of it, you have to do your job. But with doing your job, you do it with compassion and you do it with empathy. So that's what it's all about, and understand it. And you make sure that you clarify what you're doing, take the steps or what have you. And you don't have a problem. Obviously, I didn't have a problem, but and the people have came back to me and thanked me for arresting them because I saved their lives. So, it's just all about that connection with people, and I'm a people person. So
Chanel Watts says, beautiful Nancy Jordan, such a great person who cares about other. 2 hearts. I second that. Chanel, thank you, Chanel. So what's next, Nancy Jordan?
What's next?
I heard that sigh, which means that maybe you don't have to decide right away what's next. You get to breathe for a minute.
Well, that's the thing. And I heard you say Chanel Watts. Okay, she's one of my survivors. Hi, Chanel.
Oh, hi, Chanel.
So what's next is I am going to take a breather for a few months or what have you. Do a little bit of traveling, and then I still want to stay into victim services because I still think it's still a great need out there, but I want to do it more on a civilian level. Definitely not as far as policing, law enforcement. I did done that, but I want to do like on a more civilian side, and definitely I just want to be a help of people. That's it. And if I can do that, maybe another 10 to 15 years, and then I will be definitely chilled out with everything.
Well,
but I can't stick around and not do nothing. I'll drive myself crazy. Neither my husband, and my daughter.
I gotta tell you that I'm not even remotely surprised by that. And how's it like being a grandma?
I love it.
I love being a grandpa.
I love it. Yes, I'm Gigi.
I'm Zadie.
Oh,
nice to meet you, Gigi. Zadie's
nice to meet you too.
Well, Gigi, I'm so pleased that you got to have such a rewarding career at New Haven Police Department,
Yes.
made New Haven a better place.
Mhm.
You're going to continue doing that.
Yes, and
But
thank you for having
You've
me,
earned
Paul.
your travel break.
Yes,
I
yes.
hope where are you going?
Well, actually, one of my sorority sisters, my special, I'm not gonna say her name, but she's she surprised me. I'm actually going to New Orleans start Saturday. Yeah.
Are you going to be there for the Rhythm and Blues Festival?
Oh, I don't know when is
I
that?
forget if that's February. I think it's February or March.
No,
I've
no,
always
we're
wanted to
leaving
go.
this Saturday. Yeah, the day after, the day of my official retirement date. Yes.
All right. Well, Nancy Jordan, job well done.
Thank you.
So what's the signal again? Signal
13.
Hope it's a great Signal 13. Sorry, I can't be there tomorrow. I'm going to be zadieing, but
I understand.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of love in the room.
I understand.
Thanks, Norris. Thanks to
Thank
Harry
you.
Trost for working the controls, and I wish you all luck continuing your work in a new uniform.
Thank you.
We're going to take it out with the Afro-Semitic Experience performing I Wish I Knew How It'd Feel to Be Free from the group CD, A Plea for Peace. This is Paul Bass inviting you to fly free with us all day and all night and all weekend long at WNHH, New Haven's home for community radio.